Sunday's filming day. What could possibly go wrong? You son of a... Oh, no. Sunday's filming day. I can't believe it. Not again. Ah, it's like bloody Narnia outside. Hello and welcome back to Oliver's greenhouse. Now that's pretty much, you can see by the weather, that's everything I had planned for my video, completely ruined today. What I had planned was we were going to be renovating one of my bog garden, my carnivorous plant bog garden, which sits at the front of the house, and it's got a number of different species of Sarracenia in there. There's even some Darlingtonia in there. There's some native sundews as well, so Drosera anglica is in there, some Drosera rotundifolia is also growing in there, and there's also a few threadleaf sundews. But as you'll see by this picture, it's covered in about 4 inches of snow, so I'm not going to be doing that today, but it would have been a really good video. So I was going to basically take all the plants out, replenish the soil, or change the soil in the top third of it, because there's not really much roots on carnivorous plants, so you don't need to take all of it out. So I was going to replenish that, divide the plants which are in there, and then replant with some in smaller quantities. So that would have been a really good idea. But unfortunately we've had loads of snow again overnight, and I think there's a little bit more forecast for today. Whether or not we see any will be a different matter. The greenhouse is covered in a thick layer of snow again, so it's kind of limited what I can do. But I have got a really interesting plant which is in flower at the moment, and I mean proper interesting, things fascinating. So we're going to be taking a look at that and the unusual method by which it ensures that it gets pollinated. So I've had a look at the greenhouse. It's pretty dark at the moment. I don't think filming in there is going to be the best thing. So what I'll do is I'll get the plant, bring it inside, get some light set up as well. So we're going to, because it's a very small, like most of my orchids that I collect, it's a very small flower, but it does something quite fascinating. So hopefully, with the ingenious use of the microscope, the magnifying glass, I'm going to be able to set up a little experiment. So hopefully you guys are going to be able to see this fascinating flower in action. So stay tuned. I'll get the flower. We'll get set up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, here we are in the greenhouse. It's the next day. This video's been a real nightmare to make. It's taken a lot of effort and timing as well, especially considering the species of orchid we're going to try and capture the uniqueness of. So it's the next day. It's sunny. It's about, I don't know, probably about 10-11 degrees centigrade outside, but here in the greenhouse it's a balmy 25 degrees C and 86% relative humidity, so it's absolutely perfectement. Unfortunately the swamp cooler's on already. The louver vent is wide open, so we're sucking that cold air in from outside, humidifying it and then blowing it around the orchids, and the oscillating fans are circulating it about. So I'm going to have to turn all of that off in a minute in order for us to capture what I want to show you, because it is going to be difficult to see otherwise. So the plant we're going to be looking at is down here. I'll just move you so you can have a look at it. The greenhouse is a real mess at the moment. I haven't done the spring clean yet, but it's due, well overdue. When I have a spare weekend, we'll get a chance. So centre and shot here. So these are some of the orchids that I did an unboxing video. These came from Ecuagenera. I've got 2 Porroglossum species which I'm currently growing. This one is Amethystinum, and it's not got any flowers or flower spikes on it at the moment. But here in the centre of shot, well, pretty much in the centre of shot, this is Porroglossum schrammii, and if you can see by my hand there, I'll just zoom in for you guys. There's 2 flowers, one of which is open, this one here, and one of which is yet to open, and there's some more flower spikes as well, which are sort of in the process of developing. So hopefully we're going to be able to have a few more flowers on this, and it's going to look even more impressive. Now this guy's growing in just pure sphagnum moss with a little bit of, well, not pure sphagnum moss, a little bit of growstone in there as well. So they like it very humid, they like it quite cool. These guys come from high altitude environments in Ecuador, so they like that real cloud forest environment. So if you are going to grow these guys, keep them moist, keep them cool, not too much light. Not all the shade cloths off in the greenhouse at the moment. Some of the shade cloth directly above this wall is already up, but it's up all year round. If I pan around to the other side, there's no shade cloth up on the outside of the greenhouse when the bubble wrap's up, but there is some on the inside because the sun moves from this side here behind me over my house, and it passes this way across the greenhouse before disappearing off in that corner. So a lot of my nepenthes are over here. They like a bit more sun, and a lot of the other higher sun tolerant species and plants are growing over here. The greenhouse is just a tip at the moment. I need to get on with it. So back to the Porroglossum. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this tripod all set up so you're going to be able to see what we're looking at. I'm going to show you the uniqueness of the blooms of this particular plant. Okay, so centre of shot, this has taken some setting up to do. This has definitely been the hardest thing I've ever tried to achieve in Oliver's greenhouse. Now there's a bit of glare, I'm afraid, from the what I'm actually using. If I turn that off, I've actually got a magnifying glass set up just in front of the screen, in front of the camera here, in order to sort of increase magnification so that we've got an even closer look up. I'll try pulling it back a little bit. An even closer shot, or as close a shot as possible as I can do with a wide angle lens. Now what's fascinating about this flower is it's hypersensitive. I'm going to use this pointer just so I can show you what I want. See that there? I'm nearly touching it. That lip, okay, has the ability to close. So inside the flower here, somewhere at the back, it's got like a little valve, and it's able to pump liquid into like a trigger mechanism. So when a pollinator lands inside the flower here, this closes on it and clamps the pollinator in place, pushing it against the polliner, which are up in this tiny little area just up here near the pointer. These flowers are very, very small, so it's very tricky to actually show this with any degree of accuracy. But what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to move the magnifying glass just a little bit there. We're still in focus. So a pollinator lands and this thing closes. Now it is taken about, this is about my 8th attempt at doing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stimulate the flower and see if I can get it to close for you guys. Okay, in just a few moments, that should start to close. Okay, did you all see that? What I'll do is I'll replay that now in a slightly faster speed so you can see it, and now you can see the lip. Is completely closed on the flower, so that polliner, whether it was a bee or something similar, would be pushed against the polliner there. So it's basically the flower, this species and all Porroglossums have this trigger mechanism. They're able to increase their chances of being pollinated by actually capturing the pollinating insect inside the calyx of the flower and forcing it to pollinate the flower, which I think is fascinating. Okay, so here's just, I think, a really unique and fantastical thing, a bit of evolution, or whether it's the hand of the maker, whatever you believe, the degree of whether it's evolved to be like this, or if you believe it's been designed like this, that ingenuity in nature I find absolutely fascinating, which is why many of you will realise I don't really go in for big floofy flowers, big extravagant blooms. I much more find miniature orchids and orchids that produce blooms which are really unique and specific. I find far more interesting. So it's just another wonderful window into the world of miniature orchids. I think they're absolutely brilliant, and trust me, this has been a real pain in the backside to film. It's taken many attempts because it's so sensitive. Every time you move the plant, so if I pick it up, it will close. So getting it, so it's taken actually 2 days to get that shot sorted. I don't know how well it's come out yet. I haven't watched the video back, so only time will tell. But hopefully you guys enjoy this video. When I'm getting more Porroglossums this year as well, quite soon, and there'll be more about that coming up.
And also when the other one comes into flower, I'm going to try and capture this mechanism on all of the Porroglossum species that I grow, and sort of get a little bit of a catalogue of them. There are a few other videos of this mechanism happening on YouTube, so I'll put some links in the description down below. You can go and check those out. And yeah, thanks for watching. Stay tuned and I'll see you again.